Welcome to Shop Talk. This is
Shop Talk.
a No Lies Just Bullshit production.
Because I don't lie.
Yo, hello, welcome to Shop Talk. This is a different kind of Shop Talk. And I got my friend Justin Weatherholtz here. He's been here at Alley Cat Tattoo this week and doing ill tats and talking ill tats and talking shit. And first of all, thank you. Nice to have you.
It's great to be here. Finally.
Like we're doing the Merv Griffin show.
Yeah. I'm at your desk.
Yeah. So a lot of times,
Also, the old reference, Merv Griffin.
yeah, he likes
Love it.
Yeah. So often, you know, when we do a shop talk, beginning of shop talk, we'll tell a story or we'll talk about some shit that's not tattoo related or whatever. We're not going to do that this time because this is not a regular shop talk. We're going to talk music this time. And Justin doesn't know much about music, and so I've decided to bring him up to speed. But no, we're going to talk about rock and roll, and so I just want to do a shot at the beginning of this one. And you don't have to shoot that. I know you said it's separate. You don't have to shoot if you don't want to. But to Avery, to rock and roll music, to shooting Jack Daniels and all that other shit.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Wonderful.
All right, so Justin's been here for a couple of days. Yeah, it's good tequila, huh?
It's very nice.
Justin's been here a couple of days, and you know, I know you spent, like you mentioned, St. Vitus. Would you say that's a metal bar or a rock and roll bar?
St. Vitus is metal, punk, scary shit, fucking rock and roll. You know, they kind of do all of it. Scary shit.
I've said to Justin, I'm more scared shit, the shit that I'm afraid of.
Yeah.
I've said to Justin more than once, he probably knows more about metal than me. We're trying to figure out a subject for this. And we didn't want it to be one-sided. We wanted it to be a real discussion of two people that love music, right?
Right. Absolutely.
I didn't want to talk too much about one thing or have him talk too much about one thing. And so he's mentioned, when I say he probably likes more metal than me or he knows metal better than I do, he says I'm a rock and roll guy multiple times. I'm not.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yesterday, this motherfucker said to me, I like the Rolling Stones, yeah.
I'm going to go ahead.
Okay, the Rolling Stones are the greatest rock and roll band of all time. You know, you can talk about the Beatles' influence. You can talk about all the shit they did. That's great. I love the Beatles. But when we're talking about what rock and roll is, there's no better band with a better catalog than the Rolling Stones. And so you can't repeatedly tell me you're a rock and roll guy and just be like, yeah, I like the Rolling Stones. What do you like? Get off my cloud? What do you like? Fucking Painted Black, motherfucker? Those are great cuts.
Fucking great, yeah.
But they're not, you know.
Okay.
All right, so now you can go ahead. This
So
is a debate. You get 3 minutes.
Here's the no. So when you say the greatest, and you say for multiple reasons or reasons being, let's hear. What
The
are your
reason they're the
reasons?
greatest rock and roll band of all time?
Yeah. And I'm curious.
Yeah.
Because this is always the thing of the conversation is, well, what's your why? Because my why is my why. What was I saying before? I'm like, your preferences are always right.
Yes, and I love and respect that. Which is why we're dear friends, and this is going to be a friendly conversation. The reason they're the greatest rock and roll band of all time is because if you look at the stuff that they were doing when they were putting out, when they were just wearing ties and shit, they were covering Otis Redding, and they were covering, R&B of the time, which, you know, sort of helped to birth rock and roll. You can find old records of the Stones of them just covering black artists from the South. And then as they moved toward a more upbeat sound, they had a popular British sound, but that immediately was drowned out by the blues influence on them. Muddy Waters said blues had a baby and they called it rock and roll.
Right.
And Keith Richards said, all I ever wanted to do was be a black guy from the South.
You want to be Chuck Berry.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And so, you know, once they began to get a full understanding of the blues, they embodied that, which translated into some of the illest rock and roll records of all times. And then, you know, a lot of people want to talk about Exile, and it has a great country influence from Graham Parsons, but, you know, like Ventilator Blues or something like that. I mean, that's a straight up blues cut.
Yeah.
And blues birthed rock and roll. And so I don't think you get to songs like It's Only Rock and Roll I Like It, or you don't get to songs like Midnight, what's it?
Midnight Train.
You know, you don't get to songs like that
Yeah.
without the blues influence. And that's what, like the heaviness of blues in their sound is what carried them. You know, without the blues, there's no Led Zeppelin. Without the blues, there's none of these bands did any of this shit.
For sure.
And so I feel like that those records that became giant hits, they became huge soundtrack hits. They give you a feeling.
Right.
Plus, they've been doing it for 60 years. Yeah. Plus, they have one of the illest live shows of all time. But I think it's the like the body of work. Once blues becomes an influence on them, they built a rock and roll sound that's unmatched. That's what I guess that's the best way I can put it. I feel like I keep going. I'll just name all their albums, and that's not an argument.
Right? Yeah. I mean, it's like they've done so much for it, and they've. Yeah, I mean,
Midnight Rambler was the song I was thinking.
Rambler, that's right. Yeah. They're like one of those bands where like it's undeniable. There's certain groups where like whether you like it or not, you can't like shit on it. It's like when people shit on the Beatles, I'm like, there's something wrong with you. And I'm not saying you have to listen to it. I'm not saying you have to like it. When it's just like shitting on it for the sake of being like because it's popular. It's like it's popular for a fucking reason.
They're undeniably
they've done too much. They've birthed too much out of it. Which if I have to be on a desert island and have Beatles or Stones, I'm going Beatles. And it's like,
but I might do the same because there's such a variety there.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't put the Beatles in the argument of greatest rock and roll band ever. They're much more pop, and that's the problem with debating the Beatles versus Stones.
Yeah.
Is that they're the greatest pop band of all time.
It's funny because it's like, say that again. The greatest
pop band of all time, the Beatles. They have great rock and roll tunes, man, but they're a pop band. And Stones are a rock and roll.
Does Rowan? My gut wants to tell you I don't like that.
That's all right. You don't have to. I just didn't know I was bringing the ruckus like this.
Fine with the ruckus. But that's the whole thing. It's not all, you know, you have like the weird artsy, you know, are you going to tell me a Revolver is a pop record? It might have pop influence kind of songs or like aesthetics to the music, but it's not, I don't put that as like, you know, but it's got these unbelievable, you know, it's still catchy. It still has, it's as hooks out the wazoo. As you know, and the early Beatles shit, sure, I'll give you that all day. But everything before Revolver, but I mean, Stones has pop songs, maybe.
Absolutely, they absolutely have pop.
You know,
yeah, they absolutely have pop songs. I'm not saying that they
Satisfaction,
don't. And I just said that the Beatles have great rock and roll records, but they're more in the pop space, I think. And I think that the Rolling Stones are more in the rock and roll space. And it also has to do with the fact of how much they toured and how many albums they put out.
Sure.
You know, I think that, you know, the Beatles only actually played live well, that's not true either. They played live in Berlin for 10 years before anybody cared.
Right.
And then they did 7 years on a world stage. And then they put out records for another 7 years? Where they didn't tour them? The Rooftop stuff was their last live shows.
Yeah, Let It Be record.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah.
That's what So, what do you think the greatest rock and roll band? Are you saying the Beatles or not? Or is it too subjective?
Yeah, I have a hard time with it because I'll argue myself out of my own answer.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But I mean, it's like gun to my head. I mean, for me, again, it's hard to answer this. It's
like the greatest of all time. There's no right answer.
Comes into it. Yeah, preference comes into it, and it's just like,
what's your favorite rock and roll band of all time? Is that too hard too?
Yeah, it's too much. And that's
because I
change.
There's
my first love that was like, oh, this is mine. Was Kiss.
Okay, yeah.
You know, so that was like my first concert when I was 12 years old. Saw them. My dad. So you know, it's just like my dad and all of his friends were all in bands, so like they listened to like some of that stuff, and like my buddies that were like the kids of the other musicians. Like,
Sure.
you know, that was my first thing. So like that was my first love, but it's definitely not my favorite anymore. But
Yeah, I never got that into Kiss. My daughter loves Kiss. I never got that into Kiss, but my dad did.
great for a kid.
Yeah.
It's great for a kid. It's got the visuals and it's got like, it's really easy to.
I mean, they have some great songs. There's undoubtedly.
There's some good ones.
I don't deny that at all. But I never like listened to a ton of Kiss records. You know what I mean? But as far as greatest bands go, I mean, just for the subject of rock and roll's sake, are you a Led Zeppelin guy?
Love Zeppelin. Love Zeppelin. Love Sabbath. I mean,
Love Sabbath.
yeah.
So, just as to allow this conversation to evolve, do you think those two bands are the parents of what we consider metal, heavy metal? Or
Yeah, for sure.
I know once you get into the metal genre, I know it's broken into a lot of different things, labels, and I don't know those.
The labels, the genres, all that shit, and it's funny because like I fucking love talking about music.
Yeah.
But I equally get so annoyed by people who get so caught up on genre and like need to define what something is. I'm like, you're sucking the fun out of it. Like you know who Eddie Trunk is? He's this guy. He's like, also appreciate what he does too. He's been like a DJ in like music from like, I want to say like the 80s. And he kind of like keeps a lot of like music. He brings a lot of like music information to a lot of people, but he gets so caught up in the details and like what's cool and blah 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 and like what's right and wrong. I'm just like,
I was
like,
lost,
you get lost in the sauce so fast.
I was lost when people are like, Metallica's not thrash anymore. I'm like, I don't even know what the fuck that means.
I do because I love thrash, and it's also just like I don't mind that a band like Metallica lost me for sure over the years, but
I mean, yeah, but they got some great albums, early ones.
Oh, I mean,
Okay, word.
I was there until the Black Album too. Like I love the Black Album,
Yeah.
and then after that, I was like, this is not for me.
Justice for All was my last, but Justice for All and Master Puppets, Ride the Lightning, they're all masterpieces as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Then what was I going to say? Oh, so Sabbath. Yeah, so I don't know what documentary I saw, but they were like, Led Zeppelin and Sabbath, and some would argue Zeppelin, some would argue Sabbath, sort of birthed everything metal.
Right.
But man, Sabbath, they are metal. They are like, they're heavy.
Yeah.
They're like, songs like NIB and Sweet Leaf and fucking Iron Man. Those are heavy, heavy songs.
How it's played.
And War Pigs.
Yeah.
War Pigs is such an ill, creepy, scary, unique. Like the lyrics are crazy as fuck.
Yeah.
Like that song's so good and so undeniable. But I have gotten in big trouble. I'm about to make a controversial statement, and I'm talking about music that I'm not into. By the way,
Fair.
All these records I mentioned I love, but I can't keep up in a metal conversation.
Fair.
That's a better way to say it. I think Faith No More's War Pigs is way better. But I don't know if it's just because the recording's so much better.
And you would maybe not be wrong because this comes into, I shouldn't say maybe, you're not wrong because it's your preference.
Oh, there we go.
This is again a preference thing.
But that really lets me off the hook.
But then there's also this, and you should be.
Yeah.
You should be off the hook. And this is like the it's like dark and warm. The Sabbath one is, and then like it's like
the drums just hit so much sharper.
you got Mike Borden playing those drums. So
they
he
hit
is
so
fucking
much
massive.
sharper and so much harder. And Mike
Patton
is doing Ozzy better than Ozzy. No, he's really killing it. I just love that version. It's so much better.
Yeah, it's
like
great.
if you just play one, if you just pull them both up and you play 10 seconds of this one, 10 seconds of this one, the quality is just 10 seconds of this one, 10 seconds of this one, the quality is just, and I think it has a lot to do with that. Just the time frame and the equipment and the everything.
Yeah, you have a probably 25-year difference in.
But Sarah fucking slid my throat when she heard me say that. The girl you tattooed, she get upset. Fuck you. Fuck Faith No More. Fuck you. That's what she said.
I love Faith No More.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's her and I had some good conversations about like some like live shows and stuff. She goes to a lot of shit. I was like, if you were in New York, you'd be going to just as much, if not more than I
Yeah, she's gone to a ton of shows over the years.
Yeah.
How are you on like Black Keys, White Stripes? Not do you prefer one or the other, but those sounds.
Yeah, like the newer blues rock. I definitely like more. I'd be more Black Keys. Yeah. White Stripes. Okay. Hembo is I actually just saw Jack White play like 3 weeks ago. Played Brooklyn Paramount.
How is it?
He's great. I am not a big Jack White guy. I'm not a big White Stripes guy. The Raconteurs.
Yeah.
You fuck with that?
Yep.
Dude, what I was saying for years, I'm like, White Stripes, it's cool. I like it's a little too lo-fi.
Yeah.
The songs are there, but I'm like, I still need more. And the other thing with Jack White, it's a little too quirky for me.
Yeah. I get that.
Like, and it's one of those things where I'm like, I can see why it's good. And
Sure.
I do like a lot of it. I'll say I like some of it.
Yeah.
But when that was out, I'm like, I feel like I'm almost there. I can't get there. I'm like, if this guy had I want to hear this guy do a full band with like harmonies, because I love harmonies. Like
Me too.
bands with like, anyways, love harmonies. I'm like, if this guy gets in a fucking band and does like a full thing, I want to hear a nasty bass player playing with this guy.
Yeah.
And then the Raconteurs came out. I'm like, this is what I wanted.
Yeah.
I fucking got what I asked for. And I'm like, and then he also sings like half of it.
Man.
And I'm like, oh, I'm getting the Benjamin, I forget his last name, Benson or something like that.
Yeah.
Sick.
So this is my problem with Jack White.
Jack, sorry, here we go.
It's a big one.
Going in.
Well, first of all, I love him. I love that. So like the White Stripes do a version of Jolene that's insane, and he sings, and his voice is super high.
I've seen him do it live.
It's so great.
Yeah.
I like the White Stripes. It's obviously heavy blues. I like how much of an artist he is, and the fact that he doesn't give me what I want because he doesn't have to. He's like accomplished enough to where he can put out like the rock and roll records that he puts out are weird as fuck, and they just don't grab me as much as I wish they did.
Yeah.
But the guitar playing is insane. But you know I just know that he could put out a blues record that sounds like Dwayne Allman's Anthology. Like he could cover 10 blues classics, and it'd be my favorite album I've ever heard. He could also he did. I don't know if you ever heard Cold Mountain or seen that movie, but
Renee Zellweger.
Nicole Kidman.
I just remember the Howard Stern drop.
Yeah.
If you need help, here I am. Any Howard Stern heads out there will appreciate that.
The soundtrack for that is insane, and he does an old bluegrass number called "Sitting on Top of the World." He does a bluegrass number by Bill Monroe called "Wayfaring Stranger," and it's an amazing Bill Monroe song. It's arguably a better Jack White song. I mean, it's so fucking good.
Cool.
And he does one other one, and so he probably has himself doing 10 or 12 bluegrass songs that are incredible, already recorded. He probably has the blues ones too. He doesn't put it out. And he could make me incredibly happy with either or both of those. And he doesn't. So that's what pisses me off about him. But I also love the fact that he'll be like, oh, I'm going to go on tour, and tonight I'm going to play with an all-female band, and tomorrow night I'm going to play with an all-male band. And he, like, coordinates colors, and he uses, like, the art to be a part of the package. I love all that shit.
He thinks that's out of the box.
I love the artistry of that.
For sure.
But as far as what I want him to do, he doesn't do it, and it's fucking trash. You know, he should really cater to me. I know, because like I said, if you listen to Wayfaring Stranger and you listen to Sitting on Top of the World, because when he does Sitting on Top of the World, he does a piano version of it, which has never been done prior, and it's just great. Yeah. It's just fucking great. And he does a song called Great High Mountain, which is like a kind of Loretta Lynn type song. And it's just it sounds so religious. It sounds so Southern and religious, and I just love it. I just fucking love it.
Where are you at with Bonnie Raitt?
Love Bonnie Raitt. I played that Long Way Home for You last night. It's
right.
Excellent. Steve Winwood song, but her version is excellent.
Right.
I love her version of Angel from Montgomery.
Yeah.
Love Me Like a Man. You know that track? What you Bonnie fan?
Yeah.
You say you saw her, right?
I saw her last year. Yeah.
Crushing.
So good. Her slide guitar.
She nasty with it.
She's like, and just still has like, these older artists, I fucking, let me tell you, I have a pet peeve.
Lay it on me,
with
dog.
fucking people.
I'm here to complain myself.
I hate when people will do this with bands that are like 40 years old. When I mean the players are 40 years old, they'll be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, they're still playing." It's like, what do you think these people are doing? They're like, they just disappeared
bullshit.
because
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
it drives me fucking nuts.
That's
and
not old.
And I'm like,
first of all, that's not old for a musician.
well, I always use Rolling Stone. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, they are still playing.
Yeah. They have 60 years on stage.
Motherfuckers are 80 years old in this band.
Yeah.
Like, they're still playing, and it's like these people are they're gonna keep playing music. They're gonna keep doing the thing. But
I want them to.
yeah, but the thing is, people go, oh, well, they don't do the songs the same. It's like, if you're open-minded enough, the fucking way the songs change with the artist, you actually have that opportunity to change with it as well. It's like,
Sure.
you know, you hear a song that's like, that you heard when you're 15 years old. Sometimes you're like, oh, this shit does not hold up anymore. But then sometimes you're like, fuck, I didn't actually like this song that much, but I'm hearing it through New Year's.
Yeah.
And I think you deny yourself so many opportunities to have joy and appreciate. This is art in general, by the
Yeah.
way. This is a song. This is a painting. This is a tattoo. This is any of that shit.
Sure.
And if you take yourself out of the equation,
Yeah.
take the you know, all the history out of it a little bit, and just listen to it for what it is. You're like, you can have a new relationship with something that's like happening over and over.
That artist is also living with something they created.
Right.
Sometimes they want to have the liberty to tweak it, right?
And it might piss you off as a listener. It's happened to me plenty of times, seeing people live or like whatever. But sorry.
No, well, the first time you were on the show, I was like, I think you, as a tattooer, part of your point of view is you're a Reaper guy. Your Reapers don't look like they looked then.
No.
Your water doesn't look like it looked then. But people still come to you for Reapers and water.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
A
Which
lot,
is great. Love
right?
doing that. Yeah.
Right. So, you know, how can you expect it? You know, I don't know. They're living with the thing that they've created. And so I think they should have the liberty, especially live. They're not going to re-record it. You can always hear it the way you loved it.
What?
If you're opposed to them altering.
It's also one of those things too. If you see a band or an artist do the same thing, like verbatim, the exact same way over and over again, whether you know it or not, you're gonna get fucking bored.
Yeah.
On some level, you're gonna be like,
Sure.
every note gets sent. You know, there's like a sterility to that.
Yeah.
Where you're just like, it's just hitting the exact same time every time. And there's something kind of cool to that too.
Right.
I get that angle of it, but like sometimes like, ooh, this is like, it's like hearing Bonnie Raitt's voice now as I don't know how old she is. She's probably like almost 70.
I'd say she's in her 70s, early 70s.
She's always had an amazing rasp, but like now it is like fucking gravel out there.
There's an old interview
That
of her.
shit is so good,
There's
and
an
it's
old
better.
interview of her being like, I don't want to quit smoking because I want to keep by this tone. You know? It's fucking great.
maintenance.
It's fucking great. Yeah.
That's so
But,
good.
you know, one of the illest things, I told you this last night, one of the illest things about Bonnie Raitt is there's this John Lee Hooker documentary, and you know, everyone's talking about John Lee Hooker, obviously, and she's someone that's accessible, and she fucking loves the blues. And she is the blues. And she says, you know, John Lee Hooker is sex. His sound
right, yeah.
and what he does embodies sex. And she doesn't expand on it that much.
Yeah.
She really doesn't. She's
have to
just
eat that.
like, you know, he exudes a feeling that makes you want to get it on.
yeah,
I love shit like that, dog.
yeah.
I love shit like that.
Some Barry White shit, dude.
Yeah. But the hook a little bit different with, but yeah. Yeah, Barry's like, you make love to that music, you know. Hooker's like, it's hot in here. You know, this is getting sweaty.
Steamy shit.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Love it.
And remember that dude Driver that you met yesterday that Trevor was tattooing?
Oh yeah.
Old blues man?
Yeah.
Let me tell you a story about Driver. Driver did an episode of No Lies Just Bullshit. And he talks about playing down in Louisiana and a woman putting a curse on him. And he's a blues man, and he's also a religious man. And, you know, he believes in the devil too. But a lot of religious people, they believe in the devil, you know.
I mean, that's 50% of it.
Part of the game, yeah. And so he leaves the gig and he goes with this woman, and she takes him back to her house or whatever. It's not the word he used. That's not the word he used with house, but I forgot how he described it. But it's like it's a term that would describe something in like low country Louisiana, Cajun, some kind of, I can't remember the word he used. But anyway,
Yeah.
he's like, he said, I don't know. He said, we were drinking and then we were fooling around and then, I was out for a while and I came to and I left and I couldn't get this woman off my mind. I mean, I couldn't stop thinking about it. I couldn't get over. I could not relieve myself of these thoughts. And he said, I get back here to Virginia and I unpack my bag from the road trip, and the back of the shirt I was wearing that night had a perfect square cut out into the back of it. And he said she had control of me through that thing. It's kind of like a mojo hand. You know what that is? It's sort of like a trinket, a voodoo thing, like something that possesses some kind of power.
Sort of like, yeah.
And he was like, I had to destroy the shirt in order to destroy the curse. Fucking wild, man. Yeah, shouts to the driver.
Yeah. I have so many thoughts on that. It's like one of those, like, how much power are you giving that thing by thinking about it? And then I'm also just like, well, it's like some magical shit's real. And then I'm also just like, brain goes a lot of different ways with it. Anyways.
But, if you believe it, it's real.
Yeah.
If someone believes that it's real, or whatever the thing is. Anyway, we're getting away from rock and roll. What else? What other bands you want to talk about? Like, I love 60s and 70s music. I told you I love Canned Heat. My mom played a lot of Canned Heat when I was a kid.
On the Road Again?
Huh?
On the Road Again? It's like
that's the one that everyone knows.
I don't know their catalog.
Oh, bro, they got some great shit.
That is a real specific voice, by the way.
Well, there's
That
two
shit
singers.
is high.
There's two singers,
Oh,
and that dude did that song.
Yeah.
And a couple others. They have a double album with John Lee Hooker.
Oh, that's interesting.
Incredible, dude. They had a T-shirt they put on back in the day and just said "Canned Heat is Blues," and they're known for being a hippie band. Really, they played Woodstock and shit.
That was my kind of like,
and that's probably how my mom knew them. But I was at a record store in Charlottesville 15 plus years ago, and I'm looking through the blues section, and I can see this fucking album cover, and it's all these dudes in a low lit room with John Lee Hooker, and then a neon sign that says Hooker and Heat. But I'm like, it's weird. And I literally thought a prank was being played on me because I grew up on both these sounds,
right?
And I never knew it existed.
Cool.
They do a Boogie Chillin' part 2. John Lee Hooker's known for Boogie Chillin'. They do like a 12-minute version of it. It's insane. Anyway, what were you gonna say? I don't want to beat you up, but Can't Heat if you don't know them.
Yeah, I just don't know. It's cool to hear about it, though. I mean, I didn't know that. I didn't know that history. But, dude, did you see this yacht rock documentary that came out?
I keep hearing about it. The guys here say it's great.
It's so sick. That's a lot of people know me for like loving that. It's funny, the associations of people that know me for certain kinds of music is kind of all over the place. Some people are like, sometimes when you like something that a lot of people don't like,
it defines you to them.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. I'm like the hair metal guy to so many people. I'm like, I grew up listening to some of it.
Me too.
But I listen to it on occasion. But they're like, oh, you're the hair metal guy.
You know what's funny? Like, I'm a hip hop guy. Before I got to hip hop, my brother and I were like Motley Crue, Poison, Wasp, fucking Skid Row, Def Leppard. That was my brother. I mean, that was our game, bro. That was our game. All that shit. Yeah. Like, there's a ton of pictures of me, like 8, 9 years old with a mullet and a Def Leppard shirt or a Motley Crue shirt or a Poison shirt or whatever. Quiet Riot. We fucked with all that. Headbangers Ball. Like, that was our shit.
Yeah, it's great. But I mean, I am, dude, Depeche Mode all fucking day long. That's
I was something queer nothing, but Depeche Mode fucking rules. From basketball, you know what I'm talking about? No, that's a movie quote.
Oh, yeah, from basketball. South Park guys.
Yeah, that's one of the things.
Oh my god, did I tell you I just went to Casa Bonita?
Nah,
I was there.
They have one that they like saved, right?
Yeah, it's
the real place.
It's that place.
Yeah,
I was just there like a month ago.
The Wild.
Yeah, that's a whole other podcast, dude.
That's all.
We can get into it. Yeah.
Anyway, so
I was with. I went there with all my buddies in Incendiary.
So tell me the Depeche Mode songs. I know it.
The biggest one is probably Personal Jesus.
The biggest one is We've Got Five.
when people
Yeah,
same thing
I know
with ELO. ELO, Depeche Mode. These are like bands where like I don't think I know their songs. I'm like I can tell you all these bands.
I just don't know them yet.
Depeche Mode, Personal Jesus, Just Can't Get Enough.
Yeah. For sure.
Enjoy the Silence.
But I know the Johnny Cash Personal Jesus. He did that song.
That's right. Oh yeah, that's
the big Joe.
That's right. The Rick Rubin show. I said Rick Ross. Way different.
Way different. Different Rick.
But anyways, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, the Yacht Rock shit.
Right.
I'll bring it back to that.
Yeah.
That stuff is incredible, and like the references of like all the music that comes from is so good. And it's called Yacht Rock, a doc documentary. Man,
I get it.
But it's awesome. Like Questlove.
Well, because of my age, I know the songs.
Yeah, it's great.
I remember
Players in that are fucking nasty, fucking awesome players. Like all the dudes in Toto, like they're so much a part of all of that world. And this is the stuff that I watched this documentary knowing like 95% of what was going on there.
And does that sound
really
the 80s
exciting.
sound entirely?
70s.
70s sound entirely.
It comes from like the early 70s into the 80s.
Yeah.
And then enter all that cocaine and
Yeah.
beach living, fucking, Michael McDonald, Christopher Cross. Steely Dan. This is, I don't know. Here's a fun fact about me.
Yes.
Let's talk about me now.
Let's create a profile for you.
My middle name is Aja, AJA, named after the Steely Dan record.
That's great, bro. Yeah. That's fucking great.
So I was born to love that shit.
Your old man was just like, this kid's name is, this is how we're doing it.
My parents loved that record, and it's funny because like their music profile that they liked,
great.
That song is or that album is kind of an outlier, but it's that's my middle name.
You should be using that as your name, as your night sports name.
Asia Weatherholtz.
You should use that name. That should be your stage name.
You know what? It's not too late. I'm going to do it.
That's a smart move, bro.
It's great.
Nobody would know it, and then other people are gonna be like, no, that's his middle name, and people are like, no, it's not. How the fuck is his first name
There'll be
Justin?
some like dumb argument about that name. It turns into like a whole thing.
And then they'll be like, pull up the YouTube.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And now we're here.
Now we're here, dog.
Yeah.
Huey Lewis was the shit. My parents listened to Huey Lewis before Back to the Future.
My brain just went to a crazy place when you said Huey and Lewis.
Lay it on me.
There's another documentary about God, I forget her name right now. She's like the most famous kind of like she hates the word groupie, I think, but I can't think of her name. Huge in the 70s and 80s. She was with everyone. She was on record as saying they were like, who's the biggest, who's the smallest
Right.
you've ever been with.
She's not the one that did the cast. Is she that girl?
That's the Plaster Cast lady.
No. Okay.
Kiss has a song about that though, actually.
Yeah.
But she, Jesus, yeah. DeBarnes is her last name. I can't think of her first name. But she said the biggest dick she's ever dealt with, Huey Lewis.
Really?
I'm just gonna say
All right.
some shit like that.
Huey.
She was like, "Fuck, that was a long night."
He's such a happy. Nobody's such a happy guy.
This was actually the news. That was the news. There you go.
That's great.
Yeah.
Every weekend, Justin, a beer, please. I know you're not here to bartend, but thank you very much.
Thank you.
Huey Lewis. Shouts to Huey, man. I love it.
It's great.
Yeah, my parents. It's kind of weird because my real dad, listened to like fucking wife licking shit.
Oh hell yeah.
He was like,
Shit.
he was about that shit. He was a Doors guy. He listened to the Eagles a lot. You an Eagles guy?
I love the Eagles.
Yeah. They catch a lot of heat because of Lebowski, I think. He's like, I hate the fucking Eagles, man. But the Eagles were good.
It's kind of impossible. They're like kind of another band that like it's hard to knock the Eagles because they're just so fucking talented.
You a Fleetwood Mac guy?
I love that we're talking about. Yes, huge. I've seen Fleetwood Mac many times.
We're just gonna cover rock and roll.
I love Fleetwood Mac. I've seen Stevie Nicks solo twice. I saw Stevie Nicks once with Rod Stewart. That was sick.
Did they do anything together?
Yeah, they did.
Rod can sing his ass off.
That's like the perfect rasp.
Yeah.
Love that rasp.
So
Whether you like Aerosmith or not doesn't matter. Steven Tyler's voice is like,
Yeah, he's great.
it's quintessential rock and roll. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a fucking ding dong.
There's also like
Love that
eras of Aerosmith. There's like, the 70s, 80s Aerosmith, and then there's like the MTV Aerosmith. You know what I'm saying? Like
I love it all.
I don't, some of those songs, they get stuck in my head, like the soundtrack era.
Yeah.
Like they had this formula to write the biggest songs in the world.
Oh, Armageddon. Don't want to close.
Right. And I hate, yeah. So that reminds me of something, yeah. But yeah, I hear that song, like you just fucked me for the next 4 days, just that little bit you said. It'll be stuck in my brain, bro. I'll be all fucked up.
What's that?
That song?
It's catchy as shit.
Yeah. So, damn, I said a bunch of shit just now. Stevie Nicks, I've refrained this whole time from talking about Tom Petty. If you read Tom Petty's book, Stevie Nicks wanted to be a Heartbreaker. She wanted to join the Heartbreakers after Fleetwood Mac had broken up, but they were huge.
Yeah.
And in some of the later tours, she actually traveled. She was good friends with his wife and good friends with him. And so his wife had some sort of illness. I don't know if it was cancer or not, but Stevie would travel with Tom Petty just to make sure he was straight, like from the hotel to the van to the venue to the stage to the van. Like she made sure he had his meals, all that shit. She did that for years for Tom Petty.
Stevie did. Interesting.
But she wanted to be a heartbreaker. And then, what's the song? Stop Dragging My Heart Around?
Yeah, it's two of them. That's a Jimmy Iovine. He made Tom give that up.
Well, first, yeah, Jimmy was dating Stevie.
Right.
And he wrote another song. I wish we could probably fact check this, but he asked Tom Petty to write a song for Stevie Nicks. And she was like, yeah, that sounds like Tom Petty wrote it. He didn't write it for me. He wrote it for Tom Petty, and now you want me to do it. And so Tom Petty kept it and it was a hit, obviously. And then he wrote that song. And when he sang it for her, she just like left. She was like, "You're not writing this for me." But then they end up doing a duet. And of course, the live version is the illest version where she does the first verse and then he comes in. But, okay, you want to talk rock and roll, man. Let's talk about Tom Petty. Best. Tops.
He's the okay. When I talk about tattoos, often I end up using music as a metric because it's more natural to me.
Right.
When you look at like a traditional tattoo, it's like make it simple. It's hard to do. Make a simple rock and roll song that sounds like you wrote it.
Yeah.
That is like
invokes the feeling.
Simple. It's got the hook. It's got all these like things. It's so hard to do, and it's all simple in black and white right in front of you. But
Tom Petty writes.
He's someone that like knew how to fucking get from point A to point B, cut all the bullshit,
Bro.
Lyrically, musically, melodically. The leads are perfect.
All right, so you use music to describe tattoos. I'm going to say a Tom Petty song is a Chris O'Donnell skull. It's like you get it a certain way every time.
Great.
Every time it's a certain way.
Yeah.
It just so happens to be perfect.
Yep.
Excuse me, I'm going to be drinking beer when I do this. Tom Petty's songs invoke feelings like Hank Williams' songs. And they're equally as simple. So his song, none of them are wordy.
Right.
But the simplicity of them fits a feeling that is aligned with a melody that just is American as a motherfucker.
It's
very
just, much so, yeah.
And man, like I said, I think he's as important, if not more important, than Bob Dylan because, and of course we debated this already, but Bob Dylan wanted to be Hank Williams, and Tom Petty was rock and roll's Hank Williams. I really, really think that. I really think his songs were as simple and invoked as much feeling. I don't know if you know Hank Williams' catalog, but man, his stuff.
I know a lot of it. Yeah,
his stuff was just made you feel a certain way. Every single song made you feel a certain way, and I think that's what Petty did. And I fucking love this shit.
So good. That just made me think. Do you used to watch Hee-Haw?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, my grandmother loved Hee-Haw. I still watch
Country Boy.
Yeah, dude, Roy Rogers.
Right.
Yeah.
And one of the illest banjo players, guitar players to ever live.
That is possessed playing.
To ever live.
Yeah.
The fucked up thing about Hee-Haw is what's my boy's name that ran it? Avery, who owned Hee-Haw? Fuck.
Hee-Haw. H-E-E.
He did
H-A-W.
He did the Streets of Bakersfield with fucking Dwight Yoakam. These kids don't know what Hee-Haw is. In the middle right there. That one,
That's
yeah.
Roy. Oh, the guy playing guitar. Yeah, that's fucking. Oh my god,
Buck Owens.
Buck
Fucking
Owens,
Buck
that's it,
Owens.
yeah.
So Buck Owens lived in Bakersfield, California, and he.
Holy shit! I haven't seen this in so long.
Yeah. So Buck Owens lived in fucking right. Roy Clark. It wasn't Roy Rogers. It was Roy Clark.
Roy Clark. I'm saying Rogers. I'm like, doesn't seem right. Yeah.
Roy Clark was a bad motherfucker, bro.
Yeah,
But Buck Owens owned all the rights to everything, and he lived in Bakersfield, California, and didn't want to be on the East Coast. He came to the East Coast to record it. I think it was Nashville, but it may have even been Atlanta. But that motherfucker bought a soundstage, bought the seating, bought the cameras, bought the film, bought everything, brought in everybody, and forced production for like 10 weeks straight, and then just took 18 months off. He was just like, I'm going to fucking cram. I'm going to do as much of this as I can, and then I'm going to go back to Bakersfield. He owned it all, and he fucking didn't let anybody make a fucking penny. He was a ruthless motherfucker, Buck Owens was. That guitar he's playing,
Yeah.
was like the cheapest guitar that could be made, and he would sell them for $89. 1968 or whatever, 75, whatever it was. But yeah, I'm a Hee-Haw guy for sure. Shouts to your grandma.
Yeah.
What was her name?
Miriam.
Shouts to Miriam.
She she used to play that shit all the time. It was fucking great. Did you happen to watch the June documentary?
Oh, hell yeah.
I watched that recently on a flight. Fucking great.
She is so incredible, you know, and she's a lot of the reason that Cash survived. You know what I mean? My daughter's name is Remedy June Carter Cash Swartz.
Really?
Yeah.
Sick.
And my son's name is Jake Elwood Blues Swartz.
Love it.
You want to do another shot?
With you?
Yeah, motherfucker.
Yeah. You hit the button.
Yeah, it's a fucking party, yeah. Hey, are you doing all right? Are we killing you? Have we lost you?
I ain't doing a shot, but I'm asleep. See you in a bit.
Avery's dad toured with the Crow Benson show. But then he told me earlier today that they listened to Wu-Tang together.
Oh.
Him and his dad, yeah.
Oh, sick.
Your dad's my age? Or close to it?
I'm going to do cheers to you. Cheers to
to you.
Shop Talk.
Shop Talk?
And everyone watching, thanks for doing something a little different. And to you, Avery.
Yeah, shouts to rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
Hell yeah. I don't need that. It's good. People hate on Jack Daniels. Fuck y'all. I'm a bourbon guy, but that's good. I grew up shooting it. What other rock and roll bands should we talk about before we go?
I think we can end on Wu-Tang. I think we should talk a little hip hop.
Can we talk about Wu-Tang?
I think we should talk a little. We were talking about it the last couple of days. We were talking about some of the shows we went to. We were talking about some of our
Yes, sir.
because you came up on it
Big
in a real time, in a real way. And I'm someone that like
So did it came to you maybe?
it came to me. The singer Steve, shout out to Steve Kosman. He was the singer of my old hardcore band in like 97, 98, and he was like, "Oh, you like all this like punk rock hardcore shit?" Like, and he played Public Enemy, Fear of Black Planet.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Powerful album.
fucking awesome.
Yep.
And I'm like,
Gosh, it's wild.
just someone had to be like, just kind of scrape away, like, here's why you should like this.
Right.
I'm like, because I just didn't have a context for it. I grew up in super rural area, so
right.
like, yeah, so it was just I don't get it,
Sure.
you know.
Understand that.
And then he was like X, Y, and Z. I was like, oh, okay, and then it was just like immersion therapy. He would play it all the time. I'm like, oh, it's cool. It's like I didn't understand certain things, but this was more political as opposed to hearing like Biggie or like NWA, which I heard a little bit in my high school. but I'm like, I don't
Biggie's
get
an LMC,
this.
but you know, he like
I came to it later, but yeah.
Biggie's an LMC, but Puffy's control of that situation created some incredible pop records. That's all hip hop, but you know,
You were saying earlier that Puffy's like one of your biggest influences. Yeah.
yeah. Shouts to Diddy. Bro, but you know, I mean, he is responsible. He's the architect for some songs that are, you know, Hypnotize
For sure,
is
for sure.
gigantic, and Big Papa's gigantic, but you know, Biggie was a hardcore street MC.
Yeah.
But you know, Wu-Tang, man, it's funny that because I wanted to kind of do it, but you know, I heard a Wu-Tang song this morning, and the very first, when you put on 36 Chambers and you start track 1, Ghostface Killah is the first MC you hear. And RZA talks about being the architect of that and how he wanted Ghostface to be, you know, and
He's vision.
yeah, RZA's all about the vision. He manifested that all.
Yeah, for sure.
But Ghostface says, Ghostface catch the blast of a hype verse, my Glock burst, leading the hearse, I did worse, I come rough, tough like an elephant's tusk, your head rush, fly like Egyptian musk. And, you know, later on, Ghost talks about how sometimes his rhymes didn't mean anything. Right. It was about wordplay, and it got so ridiculous that RZA was like, look, man, you know.
Gonna reel it in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sipping, I'm not gonna embarrass myself, but anyway, there's a lot of great verses that don't make any sense.
Right.
But man, so you hear that Ghostface delivery, and the 36 Chambers, man, Into the 36 Chambers was grimy as a motherfucker.
Yeah.
And then Cal was the second one to come out, had a lot more finesse on it. Like I said, Sub Crazy is a record that.
Which one?
Sub Crazy. It's a song on Cal.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And it's nuts. But you know, I don't know, man. I could just go on and on and on. But I feel like as much as I love 36 Chambers, it's not nearly as important to me as Cal, Liquid Swords, Iron Man, and Cuban Links. Yeah. Those 4 albums are. I mean, there's a whole culture, you know, like the Wu-Tang sound, the dedication to lyrics, like the audience caring about lyrics,
right,
come from those 4 records in my mind.
Yeah, and there's so much like character you get to like learn about all these guys and like their point of view and like how their delivery system on how it comes out, and you get 36 Chambers as this opening. Yeah. It's cinematic, really.
Oh, it's bananas, bro. It's
really
so
cinematic
good.
Because then you get all these like offshoots. It's like Star Wars or some shit, you know. It's just like, oh, here's this story, here's this story, here's this story.
Yeah,
and you get all these different sounds. Yeah,
you know, the Jizza. There's Liquid Swords is more like scientific Japanese, like fucking kung fu mash. I don't know. It's so crazy.
It's wild.
And there's a RZA verse on that album that's insane. I don't know, man. I'm trying not to sit here and quote these albums, but it's killing me. But it's killing me, bro. I'm trying to I want to quote, you know. But Jizza has a song, you know, where he says, "My man Mohammed from Afghanistan grew up in Iran, runs a neighborhood newsstand, a wild little Eastern bomb specialist, initiated at 11 to be a terrorist. He set bombs in bottles of champagne, and when popped the cork, they lost half their brain." You know, and nobody ever heard a rhyme like that before.
Yeah.
And Rakim was already here. You know, you'd already heard tough, rugged hip hop records, but the wordplay of the Clan was different.
Yeah,
they're all smart. You got 9 dudes, and they're all like bringing. I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's exciting. Well, it's exciting because it's like you can like dig into it in a way that you're just like, oh, this is like. You have the point of reference from like, you know, like.
You know what I love about you? I didn't know it, but when I said I saw Ghost, Ray, and Cappadonna together, you were like, oh. You know, a lot of people that say they know Wu-Tang don't really know the importance of Cappadonna.
Yeah.
You know, but he's one of the ones. He's the savage.
Oh, I'm the Cappadonna of Kings Avenue.
Hell yeah.
Let me tell you why.
I love that. That should be on your business card.
Even now, still, I'll hold it.
Yeah.
And I say that because
me why.
I was the first hire.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Cappadonna's not.
He's not an original nine member.
He's
Exactly
not,
right.
but he's the first guy in.
Yeah. Fucking
And they kind of hold him as like, you're Wu-Tang.
And you know what?
And- And like,
Well, the Redman's Wu-Tang. Like they claim Redman's Wu-Tang.
sure.
But there's like Method Man interviews.
I said that thought right now. I just say it. I don't know.
No, it's great. I love it.
Those guys will, I'm back.
There's a Cappadonna. He starts a verse on one of the Iron Man records where he says, "The first branch, the third leaf. Whoever wanted got beef." And I'm just like, man, how could the first branch, the third leaf, whoever wanted got beef? I've always been like, how can I use the first branch, the third leaf somewhere?
It's good.
Somewhere.
There's a simplicity to it, but it's like deep. Yeah.
There's also there's a song on Liquid Swords and there's a song on Wu-Tang Forever called Hell's Wind Staff.
Love it.
And I'm like, if I start a production company called Hell's Wind, everybody that works for me is Hell's Wind Staff.
Fucking great. So good.
I'm just so into Wu-Tang, man.
Love it.
But yeah,
love that
anyway,
record.
there's a Method Man interview, and I think there's a You God interview too, where they're just like, yo, back in the day in Park Hill, Cappadonna battled everybody in Wu-Tang Clan and smoked everybody. Like, he's just an ill, like, off the dome
Yeah.
battle rapper.
Like, come on.
And that he just, like, take them out, And I also recently saw a Method Man interview where they're like, you name your top 5 MCs, and he goes, inspect the deck, inspect the deck, inspect the deck, inspect the deck, inspect the deck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know the Czarface records. You know any of those records?
Yeah. I don't know them super well, but I've listened to
The
them.
first Czarface album is flawless in every way. They have a ton of albums. They probably have 10 or more albums now, and I don't love them all as much. But their first one, hip-hop, just gold, real deal.
My buddy Mike Himes, he turned me on to he was like, oh, have you heard the Bobby Digital shit?
Bobby. Yep.
Bobby. Did you stuck to your ass like a Victoria's Secret widget?
bro. Yes.
Shout out to Vinny Caruana and Chris Todd on that shit. Those guys play Bobby Digital and Grave Diggers like no one's business. They're in the top fucking 1% of listeners.
I fuck with Grave Diggers, but I like the visuals of it a whole lot, but
That's too scary for you.
exactly. That's exactly what I was about to say. It was a little too dark for me. You know what I mean?
That's that.
It was a
angle.
little too much for me.
But my buddy Mike turned me on to he once I started getting into hip hop, he was like, "Come with me." He was like, "Listen to some of this shit." And I had a bunch of really good guys, kind of and then going to King's Ave too. We were talking about it yesterday a little bit too, like Rubendal and Grez. Those guys have a great hip hop knowledge too, and went to a ton of shows and it was great. Anyways, yeah.
Are you comfortable naming 5 MCs?
No.
No, you don't have a top 5. Personal, like you said, you're wherever you lean's correct. You don't have to.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I mean, Raekwon's probably number 1 for me.
Oh, we could just name our top 5 Wu-Tang. But no, man, Raekwon. Oh, yes. Salute the general, bro. Love Ray. You don't have to say anything else.
Yeah.
Raekwon's always been my favorite Wu-Tang member.
Ray and Ghost, for sure.
Ghost has the illest catalog of solo albums.
He's
Big Doe Rehab, bro. Big Doe Rehab is a crazy album. 36 Seasons is a crazy album.
okay. How about this? The first day I ever went to Kings Avenue,
Right?
there were 3 records I walked away with.
Okay.
I should say that. One was one I already had, and 2 were new records. I walked in, the first song I was so into this record was Block Party. For their first record. I walked in, I'm like, oh, I love that this is playing. This is I'm super into it. I'm like, this is making me excited. And then they played Fish Scale. And I know Fish Scale like the back of my fucking hand. I know that record so well because I was
Fish is great too.
it's great. Super good. So Fish Scale and then Richard Ashcroft, Alone with Everyone. That record. That's the singer from The Verve. It's some unbelievable record.
Right?
But those 2 records,
Yeah.
I walked away from that first and I listened to that shit nonstop because I just got tattooed by my favorite artist on the fucking planet.
Yeah.
and met Grez, and I'm like, who is this fucking guy? I'm like,
Yeah.
was like enamored by him, and I'm like, I have this new music to go. And like, I now have a soundtrack to my experience that's happening to me in real time. It's really cool. Anyways,
And we could probably close out on this soon, but I love the importance of music in a tattoo shop. And I love that sometimes when it's really, really bustling here in Alley-Cat, that I'll go up there and I will make the like in real time playlist
yeah,
of just hard hitting stuff, just like Master of Puppets, but then like fucking Shaw Price song, and then
oh my god, dude,
yeah, bro, monkey bars, bro. I love Shaw Price.
I learned all about that from working at King's Ave.
I also love Shaw
didn't
Price
really
is such a
figure
savage, bro. He has an album called Mike Tyson. He has an album called Master P. You know what I'm saying? I love it. That's what we call Porter, Master P. I call Porter Master
really?
P. Oh, yeah, always have. Anyway, man, thanks for doing this. I love talking music. I love your appreciation for music. And this is a special edition Shop Talk. And they'll probably, I don't want to say there'll never be another one like it, but thanks for popping it off. And I'd love to talk more music on here.
When I come back, we'll do this again. We'll do another music one. You should do another one with someone else.
It's fun.
It's
just fun.
It's fucking great.
All right. Follow No Logic Bullshit on Instagram. Subscribe to No Logic BS on YouTube. Justin Weatherholtz, tell him your fucking Instagram.
At Justin Weatherholtz. Weather like outside. WEATHERHOLTZ.
There you have it. Thank you very much.
Cheers.